My backpack has always been my office. Whether I'm traveling, I'm on a flight, or I want to go to a cafe or someone's house, or I'm going to a retreat, my backpack is my office. So having one computer, one keyboard, one of everything, just in one really thin, light package is necessary.
Welcome to Macpreneur, the show for seasoned solopreneurs looking to streamline their business on a Mac. Unlock the secrets to saving time and money with your host and technology mentor, Damien Schruers.
Hello. Today I have the pleasure to introduce Leigh Shulman. Leigh is a writer and writing mentor with 2 decades of experience under her belt. She founded the Inspired Writer Community, an online mentoring community for writers at any stage in their writing lives. Her best-selling book, The Writer's Roadmap, Paving the Way to Your Ideal Writing Life, helps thousands find their way in the writing world. Her international writing retreat and website are listed in the Write Life's top resources for writers. And her words have appeared in the New York Times, Washington Post, Long Reads, and Guernica, among others. Leigh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here, Damon. It's great to be here.
I think you are the first writer that I have interviewing
I'm glad.
in
I'm
the
happy
show.
to hear that.
Yes. A writer who's using a Mac. And so the first question is, what is your current Mac setup?
My current Mac setup is a MacBook Pro. I think I got it about 2 years ago. And I'd have to look to see how much power it has, but I don't actually need that much for most of what I do. But yeah, I've used Mac since I haven't always worked as a writer. I used to work as an editor, like a film editor for online video editor. I was using Premiere and things like that, but I've always loved Mac for that. I'm definitely one of those people who, if you made me go to a PC, it would be a punishment.
And so your MacBook, do you use primarily the main screen, or do you have a secondary screen attached?
I use the main one. I just use that.
So no external keyboard or mouse or something like that? No. Just the laptop?
No. And that is also, it makes me very portable. So the room I'm in now is my office, but it's a relatively new office. My backpack has always been my office. Whether I'm traveling, I'm on a flight, or I want to go to a cafe or someone's house, or I'm going to a retreat, my backpack is my office. So having one computer, one keyboard, one of everything, just in one really thin, light package is necessary.
And have you ever had a Mac desktop at one point?
Years ago. I used to work for MTV, where I was doing their website. And I did their website. I did a lot of live events with them. And then I did have a laptop at home, mainly because at that point, laptops were much cheaper than laptops. Desktops were cheaper than laptops. And I also had a lot of stuff connected. I had my writing pad. Because I was doing more graphics and I was doing more video. So I liked having a huge station. It was nice to have that.
And so which screen size do you have now for the MacBook?
I think it is 13 inch. It's either 12 or 13 inch. I always liked a bigger screen, but these days I'm happy. The lightness of the computer and the size of the computer is more important to me. So I usually go with the smaller one.
You mentioned that it's not that powerful because you don't really need it. So maybe let's talk about actually what you are doing the most on your Mac.
Most of what I do, I write, I Zoom, I do all my conferences, all my one-on-one meetings and my group meetings and my community meetings through Zoom, podcasts like this and any kind of podcast platform. And quite frankly, I'm not really using graphic software very much. Actually, this year I finally got rid of the Photoshop desktop apps because I don't use it very much anymore. So I just don't need as much power as I used before. I use a lot of Google Docs because they're great for sharing text with other people, whether I'm working with a client and we're looking at the same document while we're working together, or for sharing edits, or something that I'm sharing with an editor or an agent. So, like I said, I like to keep it as simple and as few moving parts as possible.
Yeah, so in today's age, most of the things that we do are anyway web services. So usually it goes through a browser, or some have dedicated Mac apps, but anyway, those apps, they will then synchronize through the cloud. And so you're using Google Docs, for instance, Google Sheets, etc. Do you use then Chrome, or do you still use a Safari for that?
I use Chrome. I use Chrome for almost everything. The truth is, I use Safari usually when something's not working on a website and I want to check it. Or if I need to, because I use Discourse for my community platform. So if somebody can't log in, or they're having a technical issue, then I'll use Safari because I'm not signed in on most things in Safari, so it allows me to troubleshoot. So. I don't actually, because one of your questions that I've heard with other podcasts is which apps am I using, and I don't really use that many Mac apps. I mean, I use them, but they're not the staple of my work. Most of what I use is browser-based, like you said. And I can say it's seamless. I love that Mac allows everything to be seamless at this point. There's, whether I'm using a Mac product or I'm using somewhere else, or I'm using Promo Republic for my, my social media, or I'm using Google Docs, it all works very seamlessly for myself and also when I'm working with clients.
Yeah. If I circle back to Discourse, I'm wondering in my audience, maybe they are familiar with Discord, but not necessarily with Discourse.
Right.
Could you elaborate a little bit? What's the difference between Discord and Discourse, and what do you like about Discourse?
Well, Discourse it's more of a chat app, and you can share different things. But that's Discord. Discourse is a community platform. And so for my writing community, for the inspired writer community, I want a place where I can have a bunch of different topics, and I can have people responding, and I can have specific links to everything that I need. So, and actually, I started using Discourse because I took some classes with Seth Godin, and he was using it. And I've tried lots of different platforms. I've tried lots of different community message boards, and most of them are clunky, or you have to buy, like Mighty Networks, you have to pay to be a member. Where I do pay for Discourse, but I pay a yearly fee, and then I have control over how it looks, the way I want to put it together. There are lots of different options, and it's more of a tool than a platform. So I can really shape what I need. So the idea of, don't build your house on someone else's land, I feel like I'm not doing that with Discourse. And I think with most community type platforms, there's always a lot of information and people get lost in them. And that does happen with Discourse, but it's the way I have mine set up is relatively straightforward. So it's easy that I send out an email every week at the beginning of every week to say, okay, here are our accountability posts, and here's the events for the week, and you can link directly to it. Here's the schedule, and here are the ongoing discussions that you might want to be part of. So it allows me to guide people where I might want them to go. So it just makes the process easier.
And so, yeah, because now it rings a bell. I'm listening to Mac Power Users, another podcast, and their community is also on Discourse. I joined a few years ago, but I'm not super active, and now it just I just realized, okay, this is the platform. So if I understand correctly, it would be the equivalent of a Facebook group or a forum, but that you have control over. It's a little bit like the WordPress. So there would be maybe Facebook, where you have absolutely no control, or you have some control, but you don't own the platform. And then you have Discourse, which would be a bit like WordPress, self-hosted WordPress. And so for your community, is it totally free for the members? Is it a freemium model? How does it work for you?
Okay, so my community is a paid community. And just taking one step back, when he said, I mean, I think saying Discourse is like WordPress, like using WordPress on your own host. That's exactly it. And I used to host the community part of my community, the discussion part of my community on Facebook. But it's someone else's platform completely, which even now with Mark Zuckerberg's recent, announcement that they're going back to their roots, whatever that means, which, I won't even discuss that. But I wanted a place that was mine and I could control it. And also that I could add other features, because there's only so many features that you can use on Facebook. But the other part of Facebook is you may start out going to Facebook to discuss something in a specific forum, but most times you'll end up somewhere else. And then, maybe 2 hours later, you're arguing with somebody about something that's a complete waste of your time. And I avoid that completely by using this forum. People don't waste time on the forum. You're either there to share something or to say what you've done this week or to pick up a resource or give somebody feedback or get feedback. But there's no reason to waste time. There's no way to waste time on it.
And if I recall correctly, at the time, there is a kind of a reputation system or point system. So the more you are involved in the community as a member, the more permissions or capabilities you have, or permissions or stuff like that.
Yeah. But then again, as the administrator, as somebody who can control the administration side, I don't actually lean too much into the gaming, because I want people to have access to what they need to have access to right from the beginning, because it's confusing to be like, why can't I access this? And then I'm like, oh yeah, because I need to up your permissions, or unless you want to post 30 times, I don't really want to do that. But yes, it does have the gaming. I actually try not to, the gaming is designed to keep you on the platform, whether it's this one or another one. And that is an impetus that I am trying to move away from, because I don't think it's healthy. So I don't really use it. But yes, it has it. I just don't use it. But yeah, I'm a high achiever in my community, just so you know. So in my own community where I spend a lot of time, I respond to everybody and I'm there to support people. So yeah, I'm a high achiever. So
yeah, very good. Now, in terms of apps, what are those native apps that you still rely upon on your Mac?
Well, I would say Notes and Photos are the ones that I use most. Notes, I don't store things in Notes. I have my own system for organizing. I use Drive for a lot of things. Like I said, I use Google Docs for most things. But Notes, if I'm in the middle of a meeting and something comes up and I need to get to have a note, I'll put it there. Or, for example, I have a trip coming up in the US and I'm keeping track of the things I want to buy when I'm there, the things I want to do. I keep track of that in Notes because it's easy to access everywhere, whether it's on my phone. I mean, everything that I have on my computer, whether it's Drive or something else, I can access on my phone, but it's easier through Notes. And it just automatically updates. I'm never having to, download anything. And that just makes things a lot easier. And the same thing with Photos, where I have access to all my photos, no matter where I am, no matter how I'm trying to access them. So I would say those are the two that I use the most.
Yeah. Now, when we have a laptop and it's our only computer, usually the difficulty or the thing that I see missing with my clients is a backup system, right? So what's your strategy? Or I know you store a lot of things in the cloud, so you have already at least 2 copies of the files. But for what is local and for the setup of your computer, how do you do that?
I do back it up in the cloud. I for a long time I had a separate hard drive that I would back it up on that also. I haven't been doing that as much. I do have automatic backups because also everything I use daily is on Drive. So the backup that I need on my computer is mainly for the apps and whatever, anything that comes through the different apps or my various settings. But the reality is, if I lost them all, it wouldn't matter that much because it's very easy to recreate. And that happened to me during the pandemic because my computer would no longer charge. So I had to send it back, which was actually great. It happened really quickly. I went there. I don't know if there is a licensed Mac dealer in where I live anymore. At the time, there was one. And they took care of it. They were great. And it took 2 months. Like, I did not believe them when they told me it would be 2 months, but it really only took 2 months. Things in Argentina, getting to Argentina tend to slow down, but it was great. And they basically, when they saw my computer, because I type so often, like if you see my keyboard now, my space bar is worn down. The letters that I use the most don't have numbers on them anymore. You can see straight through into the keyboard. So they basically replaced everything. Because I sent it back to fix the charging mechanism. They fixed that. They gave me a new screen. They gave me a new keyboard. So it's like I felt like I had a new computer. And so when that was happening, when I first sent it away, my husband that has the same Mac, so he let me use his because he wasn't working at that point, or he didn't need it at that point. He wasn't working online at that point. So he gave me his and I used his for 2 months. And it was really a matter of just downloading Zoom and whatever I needed, logging into my different accounts. And then once I got into Drive, I had access to everything. And then I do have Drive backed up in the cloud in my Apple account also.
Yeah, for Macpreneurs who have important files that are too big to be on the cloud. So people who do video editing, even podcast editing and so on, these can be very huge files. And yes, we could put them in Google Drive, but then it would take a lot of time to synchronize. So it doesn't make sense. For laptops, the solution that I recommend is called Backblaze. And it's a true cloud backup systems in the sense that it's a one-way street, right? It's from the computer to Backblaze. There is never a synchronization. There is no risk of, if it gets deleted in Backblaze, it actually cannot be deleted from Backblaze. And what I like about Backblaze as well is you can configure it to either run continuously, or in my case, I don't do that because when I'm in the middle of the recording, I don't want it to start pushing a few gigabytes. And so it's also possible to tell it, only do it once a day, and you can tell it at what time of the day you want it to kick in.
Got it. So the types of files the large files that you have are the recordings files, or are there other things that you keep backed up that are large files?
Yeah, actually, almost everything that is locally on my computer is backed up to Backblaze. It's slightly different from Time Machine because Time Machine allows to actually restore a complete system, right? Even the settings and so on, which is not the case. With Backblaze, it's more restoring files and folders. But the beauty is that it backs almost everything up. There are a few file types that it doesn't. Some temporary files it doesn't do. A virtual machine, so I'm running Windows on my MacBook Pro. And this is a virtual machine. It does not, it's 120 gigabytes. It's a big blob. That it doesn't do. So for that I have Time Machine, and I have Time Machine, and actually I have 2 Time Machine backups of my MacBook. But yeah, for the MacBook, the Time Machine backup, what is tricky is to remember to plug the hard drive in.
Oh, right. The other thing with Time Machine is making sure you have enough space on your hard drive so that it doesn't back up backups that you want to keep.
Yeah.
Or so that it doesn't overwrite backups
Exactly.
that you want to keep. And I hate to say this, but everything I've learned about backups, I've learned the hard way. So I'm very specific about the backups, but that's only because I lost things along the way. So, and even in my community, I'll occasionally go in and be like, back up your stuff, back up your things, because it sucks to lose them. It really sucks to lose them.
Yeah, the rule of thumb that I'm using is at least twice the size of the internal disk. So if you have a 1 terabyte hard drive in your MacBook, you need at least a 2 terabyte external drive for Time Machine. And nowadays, with the prices of SSDs falling, I actually recommend to go with an SSD as a Time Machine backup drive. Yes, it's still a little bit more expensive than the rotating hard drive, but first of all, when Time Machine kicks in and it does a backup, it's much faster speeds. But also when you restore the computer, when you need to do that, it's also much faster than a rotating hard drive.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm sort of in the market right now for checking into and upgrading my backup system, because it is backed up, but like I said, when you lose something, you want to back it up more than once, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen again. I'm happy to say it's been a while since I've lost everything, so it's been a long time.
Yeah. Another thing that is important to realize especially with the Google platform, right? So with Google Docs, Sheets, and so on, if you're dealing with native Google Docs files, you don't really have a local backup, because what is synchronized on locally is actually a shortcut. It's a link to the file that is in the cloud.
Yeah, no.
And so for that, there are two options. Either you manually decide to download the file as a Microsoft native version or as a PDF version, right? So that's one option. Another option, and that is what I finally implemented, is I'm using a Synology disk, Synology system. So it's called NAS, Network Attached Storage System. It's like a big box, and I have 4 hard drives in them, and there is redundancy. So it only uses the capacity of 3 of the 4. And actually the fourth, and actually is not exactly the fourth, is because it's distributed across all 4 drives. There is some redundancy implemented in the system. So I could lose any of those 4 drives and I could still access the files. I would not lose anything. And Synology offers different applications that run on the Synology itself. And one of those applications is Google Workspace Backup. And it actually converts all the Google Sheets, Google Docs, and Google Slides into the Microsoft equivalent. So, and that is, again, that's fully automated. So I think it's once per day at midnight, I think. It's going to Google Drive, pulling everything. So if it's a PDF or if it's a Word or Excel file, it just makes a copy. But if it's a native Google Docs sheet slide, it will make the conversion and then store the converted file for me. But it does more than that, because I also have a Gmail backup, Google Calendar backup, Google Contacts backup. So that's a bigger backup than just Google Drive, actually.
Got it. And that's a good idea. I'm going to probably contact you after this just to get all that information. Because the other thing about Google is if for some reason you're ever disconnected from your account, it's almost impossible to get back in. And you can't really contact Google. They don't really get back to you. So there's there was something that happened relatively recently where wasn't disconnected from my account, but I needed to get in touch with Google, and there was no solution for it. So yeah, I'm gonna do that also. Because underneath, I think I do have this, like, I don't want to lose everything I've done for the last 20 years, and it's backed up, and I have it in different places, but you never know exactly what you have until you've lost it.
Yeah, to really have backed up things, we need at least 3 copies of everything, and ideally different mediums as well. Very good. So let's go to the next section of the show. What tip or trick did you discover on your Mac recently that you wished you knew before?
That's a tough one, because I'm trying to think, what was it? I had one for you, but now I don't remember what I was going to say, because there aren't that many tips and tricks that I use. I mean, the shortcuts I've been using for years. And I think the one thing that I hadn't been using and only started using recently was getting rid of duplicates. Getting rid of duplicate, especially in photos, just to kind of clean things out and just to keep things as organized as possible.
Yeah, I think that's one of the newer features that came last year, right? I think it was iOS 17 and macOS Sonoma that natively now in the Photos app, there is duplicate photo detection and so on. Yeah, it's a good reminder, I think, it's built in now. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if I, sometimes I'll send something to my phone, so I make sure that I have it there, because I can't. The search on photos seems to have changed recently, and I seem to have a harder time finding things in the same way that I used to be able to find things. So often I'll just email something to myself or have it here, and then I end up with all these doubles everywhere, because when things are backing up and this, that, and the other, and so that's been really. I wish my computer was as clean and the files were as cleaned up as I want them to be, but that duplicate files makes it easier. Because I'll always err. If I'm not 100% sure, I'll just keep something. But then this helps me know, oh no, you have 4 of that. Why don't you get rid of some of them?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, if we go back to photos, on the iPhone, since iOS 18, they completely revamped the photos
interface.
So much so that my youngest daughter, said, "How do I go back to iOS 17?" It's not that she hates her iPhone, but I sense that she was really, really pissed about the changes. She's 15. She will turn 16 this year.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Well, a lot of software does this, or a lot of different platforms will do that. They'll change something, and then you as a user just have to deal with the change. You don't necessarily know what's coming. You don't know that it happened. You suddenly just realize, wait, why isn't this working the way I usually do it? And, and that's frustrating. And I tend to be very good with interfaces and how things work. So most of the time, when people say they hate the changes, I barely notice them, because the logic of it stays the same. That has not been my feeling with photos. I have not felt that way with photos. I'm like, I don't know why last week I could find something and now I can't find the photo that I found through a search really easily last week. But yeah, no, so I'm on the same page with your daughter.
Yeah, so. Well, it's normal when, I would say, within a week after upgrading from an old version of iOS to a new version of iOS, there is anyway a process of re-indexing. So that's normal. So oftentimes you see posts, oh, my iPhone is heating up, or the battery life of my iPhone is cut by half. I just upgraded, don't upgrade, and so on. And that's usually it's normal, right? When we upgrade, it's as if it has to actually rebuild some databases behind the scenes. For photos, you're not the first one actually who tells me that they have issues finding photos or searching for photos using keywords. And since iOS 18, it's much more difficult to find photos. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that I don't know of how long ago did you upgrade your phone?
Well, actually getting a new phone, I think was maybe a year and a half ago, but updating the software, not that long ago. Not that I don't remember, but I don't remember exactly how long it was, but it was, I mean, the searches that I was doing were definitely in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, so if it was an indexing issue, it should have been resolved by now. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the show. If you were in charge of the Mac division at Apple, what would be your first priority?
All right, so my first priority would be to, and I think this sort of happened actually, because I think there was a lawsuit in Europe with the types of USB and the connectors. Keep things standard throughout all the different technologies. So I don't need a different cord for my phone, my this, my that, my the other. But also, I don't know, I recently bought a new pair of earbuds. And because my old ones, I had them for years, they really worked well. I love them. It stopped charging. And I think it lasted longer than most do. But the new ones don't fit my ears. They're too big. So they fall out all the time. And the thing I loved about the old one, it never fell out. It didn't matter if I went for a walk, if I was moving around the house or whatever it was that I'm doing. But, when they fall out, you can't have them falling out because they're wireless. And that's great that they're wireless, but I would ask, at least give us the option of having what we had before that worked really well for us so we can continue working seamlessly. Because right now I am having issues because I don't like using the wired ones, which you see me using now. The current one that I have doesn't work that well. Somebody lent me a non-Mac version, non-Mac earbuds that I like them except for the fact they have little buttons on them. So when I accidentally touch them, I cut everything out. Like basically suddenly nobody can hear me. I just want the tools that work to continue working as they worked. And if something doesn't work, then find a solution. And obviously different things work for different people. So the old size of the earbuds worked really well for me, but they didn't for my husband because he's much larger. And the new ones work for him. So give us the option. When I went to get the new earbuds, and I guess that was maybe I don't remember if I think it was in July that I went, and they gave me the option of engraving for free, just sort of engraving little icons on it or little emojis on it, which is lovely. I loved it. It's great. I can now tell my earbuds from other people's, but I would much rather it fit in my ears than the little emojis on it. I have a unicorn. It's really cute. Great. I still would rather it fit. So, what is it? Function above form.
Yeah. They kind of boasted the fact that they used machines to scan the ears of people from multiple countries and multiple continents, and they said, and now they should fit more people because it's optimized across a bigger spectrum of people. But yeah, it's, as you say, it's different. The alternatives would be the AirPods Pro, because they have a little rubber thing, and you have 3 sizes that come with the AirPods Pro. So and because of the rubber tip, it will actually the chance that it will fit better is bigger. The disadvantage is because I have both. I have the AirPods 3 and the AirPods Pro 1. I absolutely could not live without the AirPods Pro because of the noise cancellation. But at the same time, I cannot keep them for too long because of especially because of the rubber tip. And you feel it really a lot. And the AirPods for that, they are lightweight. you almost don't feel them, and it's good as long as they stay in the ear.
As long as they stay in, because when they fall out, there's nothing, and you lose one, there's nothing you can do. There's really nothing you can do. That happened to me because Noah, my husband, lent me his AirPods on an airplane, and it did fall out and went under the seat, and I'm like, oh, you know, like, I did find it. It was actually pretty easy to find once I was able to get up and look. But I sat there for 2 hours on a flight being like, oh, I hope I can find his AirPods, because can't really replace them in Argentina. We don't really I haven't found anyone near me who had, in the city where I live, and any technology, any Mac is of 3 times the price. So that time when my computer stopped charging, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It's the pandemic. It was right in the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm like, I can't just not work at all or talk to people for however long this is going to last. And so I looked, I'm like, let me see how much it costs to replace it here. A $2,000 computer was $6,000 here. So yeah, no, so it's, I was like I would have had to go to a PC in that situation if I hadn't been able to get my computer fixed. So, but it worked out. I didn't have to go to a PC.
Now, to come back to the AirPods, the closest alternative to an Apple branded headphones would be the Beats one, because Apple bought Beats, and so they have the same technology, so the same chips and so on. So you can find them with Find My. When you open the lid, they appear on the screen of the iPhone. So pairing is seamless, and they may have. I've not looked at them, so I can't really say. But I would suggest to look at them. Actually, look at them. Look at the different models that they have. They also have models that attach also behind the ear, like for sports, and so that it's better. It will stay on the ear, and so on. So maybe that's something to look at.
I will check it out. Thank you.
My pleasure. So where can people find you online, Leigh?
So the 2 best places to find me are my website, which is leishulman.com. And that's where you'll find access and information about everything that I do. There's a contact form on the main page, and I will send you all the links so people can get to it directly, because I also have a specific contact page that is just for your podcast. And so if anyone listening wants to find out more about writing or my community or really anything related, they can write me directly. And the other place that's always a great place to connect with me and have a discussion or ask questions or talk about whatever is Instagram. And I'm the Leigh Shulman on Instagram. So those are the 2 places that I check the most, or that I respond to everything in those 2 places. Like if it's Facebook, I'll get it later, and it doesn't always get to me. Instagram and my website, I'm on it daily.
Yeah, I will put links in the show notes for everyone who is interested to contact you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I think you're also the first one from Argentina.
There you go. First writer from Argentina. But I mean, the truth is, when you said that, one of the things I thought is a lot of writers just don't really think about the technology, because a lot of what I do is helping people get used to the technology. And a lot of that is simply being like, here's the platform, here's my community, learn how to use it. And it's relatively simple. It's just a matter of, if you want it, you need to learn it.
So thank you very much. And so if, like Leigh, you would like to share how you are using your Mac to run your solopreneur business, it's simple. Just visit macpreneur.com/apply. If you are already on Podmatch, click on the button and you will land on the show profile. Otherwise, fill the application form and I will get back to you within a few days. Once again, it's macpreneur.com/apply. In the comments below, please share your main takeaway from this episode. And if not done yet, please subscribe to this channel so that you'll get more helpful tips on how to run your business on your Mac. And until next time, I'm Damien Strauss. Wishing you a great day.
Thank you for watching the Macpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave a comment and share it with a friend right now.